It's a long story. We have been together with Daniele for a month from Malaysia. He was at the conference. I was ending my holidays. He invited me at the conference. And I discovered a word, which is yours, your echo. Well, I will explain in the slide. That doesn't belong to me. I do security. I'm not as rich as you are. I'm trying to. But aside from the jokes, I realized something that is shown by the presence of this audience. In your market, no one gives a shit about security. See, I hope everyone is on the pool and watching us. I talked to some guys from Russia, from other countries, and they say, well, I'm a smoker, and I'm also, so I'm suffering here, but I'm happy to be here, and I hope that there are upstairs on the deck to see all the things. I love my job. I do this job since 25 years. I'm not here to sell anything at all. I'm here to educate. And information sharing is the key whenever you deal against the bad guys. From the title you can see penetration testing on exchanges, field experiences, and false myths, because there are a lot of things that they used to say but they are really wrong. When I speak to people from your market and other market, blockchain, that's secure. No, it's not. It's like when you say a VPN is secure, it's not. And there's a lot to speak about and scary true facts. It works. So, long agenda. I tell you, I will not be able to make this in 30 minutes at all. We will have, after me, that is the coffee break. I think that is 3 days that you're having coffee and chat, so we may eventually spend 10 minutes extra time, I hope. If I will see your eyes going down and fall down, I will stop myself and shut down. If not, I will continue. I will mainly speak about these scenarios, it's a plural, because there are a lot of scenarios. There's the underground scenario and the cybercrime scenario. I'm not sure that all of you knows really what cybercrime is. I fight with those bad guys since a long time. Then pentesting, the basic issues and the technical issues that we had in a field case study. So this, I don't have a laser, so I have to jump, and I'm short, but the basic issues and technical issues are already related to the case study. But I will provide the technical, all the findings from a technical perspective of the case study here in this bullet. I will mention a few about pen testing because I heard that there are companies around that have started to speak out the word pen testing, but when I tried to ask them which standard you use and the methodology you use, there was no fucking answer. And that's a little bit, again, scary. CTI is another keyword that I don't know who of you have heard about, and I just have a 3 screenshots about that. And then what you should do and what we should do is together, because I believe that when 2 parties they put together or 2 environments they put together is the good answer, is the good approach. No one is able to do everything on its own. What should you do? This is only about you. And then I love books. I spend my life in planes and hotels, and I love books, but in paper. So there are like 5 to 6 slides with books that advise you strongly to read. They may be related to this field or other things, but it's always a good reading. Get ready to take pictures. There is nothing that I will censorship from this slide, and I will immediately send it to the guys of the organizations, and I think that I will be able to publish everything online. A disclaimer. I work for the United Nations. I'm in the board of directors for ISACOM, which is a non-profit organization, and we are the guys who build OSS TMM. I will explain you later. So anything I'm going to tell you to provide you with can be blamed on them. If there is any bad thing, just blame on me, and the good things to them. Introductions. Is this me? I will not speak at all about my company. I prefer to speak about the communities, because whenever you have to deal with security, it's about communities. It's communities that we write the code, open source code, and we try to help you guys, help the companies, help all the actors. So I have a first task for you in the hall. Who knows about ISACOM? Ever heard about ISACOM? Ever heard about OWASP? At least. APWG, they are doing a great job all over the world. I'm the European attaché for APWG. Ever heard about ENISA, European Network and Information Security Agency? I spent 5 years of my life at the agency, and I learned 2 things. How politics can ruin security, and how long it takes to define a standard. I think that you guys now are getting mad with the GDPR. It was me and other two guys at the agency 18 years ago that we said to the director, Mr. Udo Hulbrecht, something really easy. If I have a bank account and the bank is hacked, I would like to be informed. If I have a SIM card and the telco is hacked, I would like to know it. That's how the GDPR started in front of a beer 8 years ago. Who knows among you ITU? Is a UN agency as well. Me and Selene, which is there, we are in the roster of experts. Selene is into IT forensics. Abstract. So what I'm going to tell you about over the next long slides. I've observed over the last years that there is a rise of new technologies all around your environment market, which is really good. I will name it ecosystem from now to make it more easy. All of these assets, I'm trying to use a language which is not too technical and not too on the marketing way. I hate marketing. They rely on standard IT and ICT infrastructures, but the result is that those security issues are very well known and they are kind of old ones. I don't see anything really new into this, but along and over all the above, there is your market and the players that they have a different mood. Every time I'm speaking to someone from your market, you're speaking about ICOs and huge amounts of money, but all the time again I ask you, okay, you get a cool budget, where's the security? Where is a secure SLDC, that stands for Secure Life Development Cycle? Ralph, thank you for coming. He's a cool guy. And other things, and no one, well, it's like, well, I didn't thought about this. I really enjoyed the speaker before. A big thank you, because you showed what I didn't have the time to think of, that is all the hacks, all the tips that have been around at the CEOs, at the boss of the companies, and why this happens, because of a stupid spear phishing, or because there's something wrong on the education of the users and your staff. So that's really it's really lame, because it doesn't take a lot to educate the employees in a company or whatever it is. The case study I will be referring to is field experiences, because our first exchange client engaged us back in March 2015, and the latest one, of course, is an anonymized case study, is from August of this year. So that is the company who ruined our holidays. But I'm happy anyway, because they paid a good amount of money for our consulting. We've been able to chase the bad guys, but I will not talk about that thing in specific. And it was cool anyway, because I love my job. So, Preamble. I love to create talks. I finished this slide like half an hour ago, because I prefer to pick up from all of you along these days and in front of alcohol and shirts some inputs. Thank you for the alcohol, I appreciate it. And so this is like an engine that is a diesel. It's starting slow, and then it will be a shuttle for you. So we keep on to hear about hackers and computer, blah, blah, blah. Do you know what is the more important word to me? I cannot find, but I know there is here. It's people. Yeah, it's there. It's people. And then there is approach and methodology and standards and so on. And sorry for those guys that doesn't belong to my word, InfoSec or cybersecurity, as now is sexy to say. I hate it, because we got an issue that is the terminology. We express ourselves by acronyms, and it's not always easy to understand us, and it's not easy for us to understand you. I learned from Daniele Fiat like 3 months ago. I was saying Fiat, and from Torino is the car, so he told me, no, idiot, it's the Fiat, is the other thing, so I learned it. There's a lot to learn about. Now there is this, it's trendy to put the prefix of cyber to everywhere. I met some cyber girls here. I met the cyber marketing, the cyber lawyers in another event. I was at the European Commission with Selena to be here. And a couple of lawyers, they introduced themselves like, I'm a cyber lawyer. I say, well, I'm a cyber bot, I don't know. But whenever, and the cyber chef, that is an idiot in Italy, cannot mention, is this live or recorded? What the fuck? Well, I got an idiot in Italy that he claims on Twitter that he's a cyber chef. I'm Italian, I love good food and to cook also for my friends, but I don't name myself a cyber chef. This is joking first, let's jump to serious stuff. two words will never be able to understand each other. This picture applies to everything. When I went into a telco, IT and security, they try to talk to each other. Apply this to the marketing and the lawyers. Apply to whatever you want. It's always in that way. Oh, sorry, you're having good sleeping. Why? This is funny, but it isn't a smile. We don't know even how to write cybersecurity. We don't know how to spell it. My personal choice is the first one, cybersecurity. But you can have a cyber line security or cyberspace security. But again, aside from the jokes, do you really know what cybercrime is? Because we've been treated with our own lives during our job. So it's not a joke. It's not like in the movie of Hollywood. It's much worse. Do you know who are the actors into this environment? And do you know which are the components in common among a cyber crime, cyber war, and cyber terrorism? Why am I mentioning the cyber terrorism? Because those guys eventually will hack you in order to steal your money or your cryptos and then to self-finance on themselves. This is not story, this is not, it could happen, it already happened. Maybe it's public, some stuff is public, others is not public. So, I think that at least when I try to speak with someone and try to make myself understanding, and I tell them, they ask me, what's your job? I do security, or cybersecurity if I want to be cool and boost the brand. They answer, well, anonymous, cyber terrorism, banks, oil and gas, military, intelligence, and the invisible hand who is stealing your money. Actually, this is true, but it's not so easy. Otherwise, all of us would be expert thanks to one slide and 6 pictures. Yeah? So, we have to stop dreaming, and along my last 25 years, I learned the things that are over there as bullets. It doesn't exist the concept of a secure whatever. In my humble opinion, it's IMHO, is our acronyms. It never existed. And guess what? Most of the vulnerabilities that we find when we do open testing is not because of the mistakes of the client, it's because of the vendor. And the vendor is the company, private company. Any lawyers here to help me? I would like to spell out the names. Like whenever you go to IBM, Accenture, all of those people, I know I should not say, but I don't care anymore, I can do it. They sell you for a bunch of money stuff that is insecure. It doesn't work, it's unpatched, and whatever more. Anyone from IBM? Then standards. I worked at agencies and organizations where we build the standards, but the standards are insecure, were insecure, always being secure. And this is because there is something that is so bad that is named security through obscurity. It didn't work with the GSM. The GSM was created now 30 years ago, something like that. We still suffer on 3G, on 4G, we will suffer on 5G. Those big mistakes made by the GSM consortium and the GSM association. I was hoping with 3G that things would have gone better. 3GPP is the other bunch of idiots, I should not say, that build up the 3G, and the game is full of bugs. What does it mean a bug, and why you should be interested? I was speaking to another guy, because here I understood is also, well, it's a cool event, it's also a sales event, I have the feeling, and along the last 3 days, many guys approached me like, if you want to buy some currencies, and my first question was, is it secure? And one of these guys, his answer was, well, yeah, we got 2-factor authentication. Wow, that's so sexy. And how is sent? Is an SMS? Told me, yeah, SMS, you know, it cannot be cloned. Because of the mistakes of the GSM association back 30 years ago, I don't say that any kid, but it's very easy to craft an SMS, to send you a spoofed SMS. I mean, there are like 10 scenarios of attacks only to send you a fake SMS or intercept an SMS. And I'm not speaking about S7, which is still another kind of attack scenario and protocol. There is the 0 days. I don't know if you know what a O day is or a 0 day, is when there is a vulnerability, a really, well, it could be a light one or a strong one, which even the vendor doesn't know about it. So it's like if you have a passport to a key that is able to open everything, your phone, your OS, your Oracle, or whatever else, and again, this is really bad. There's a market on 0 days. I know the guy who sold the ODA to the FBI for the San Bernardino case for 1.5 million. He offered to me for 1.2 million. So I was trying actually to get it, I'm a broker on 0 days, and resell it to the FBI, but the FBI was so urgent, and they, at the end of the story was that they were able to retrieve all the messages on our phone of people who shot and killed someone, so it's good. What I'm trying to tell you with this example, the technology can be used in a bad way or in a good way. It's not because of the technology, it's not because of a 0 day. I think that it's important that all the players, they know at least that ODA exists, because it may help you to open your eyes and pay more attention, and maybe you read the logs. Who among you, among the technical people, has time to read the logs of the servers? Anyone has got time for logs? Love you. It's so important. DNS log, web server logs are so important, because from there you can not have the budget for cyber intelligence or whatever, but if you begin at least to read the logs, it can be a good indicator of something bad that is happening or unusual. That would be already enough important. And so on and so on. I cannot spend like 10 minutes on each slide, or we will stay here until the dinner and you will shock me. But at the end, it's only a matter of time and money. The attackers, they have time and they have money. Maybe you have the money but don't have enough time, and so on and so on. I spoke about attackers. Now let's get into the details. This is a study from the UN. UNICRI is the United Nations Interregional Crime and Justice Research Institute. I'm the daddy of this thing that it has a name, HPP, Hackers Profiling Project. I built it back in 2002 when there was no anonymous and there were not exchanging on bitcoins and these kind of things. But on the other hand, we were able to spot something that went in the media only around 2010. That is this one. I mean, all of us, we know that there are the wannabes, the script kiddies, the ethical hacker, is me and my friends, a warrior and so on, and cyber mercenaries, but a few people and entities at that time, they were aware that often it's governments hacking you as a citizen, as a company, as whatever, and it's the meal guys that are doing this also. In 2002, 2004, this was something really new. Now it's common and everyone knows or should know. I was, as I told you, the European Commission for an invitation-only conference on security before to jump here, like 4 days ago in Strasbourg. And I attended a very cool talk, because all the presentations there are not public. So I have a few pictures, and I've been able to contact the speaker. And the speaker, she's a she, and she spent 11 years of her life at the NSA, and now she established her own company. And her presentation was about North Korea. There are so many rumors and legends about North Korea, DCPRK, whatever. But the true thing is that they built a few units, cyber units, in order to hack companies like yours and steal the money in order to self-found Crazy Kim. And Kim is a dictator, but he needs to survive, so he needs to get from somewhere all the budget he needs for his stuff. So again, it's not Hollywood, it's happening. It already happened, it will happen more and more. But it's not just hackers. These are the last 3 slides as an intro, and we start to fuel our engine. I was saying this much before PwC. Again, in 2005, I said that the cybercrime would have become the 3rd international and transnational crime of the world, and it happened. It eventually happened. What's cybercrime now? Let's speak about figures. In 2012, we were speaking about 6 to 12 billion USD. Why 6 to 12? Because those guys, they don't invoice you when they steal your money. It's a black market. So it's not easy. I mean, it's not like, well, I don't know, I'm a big 4, I'm KPMG, and I go to analyze the turnover. No, it doesn't work. But in 2013, the FBI, I can relate to my friends at FBI, they say between 16 and 20 after 1 year. So it doubles, more than double. But in 2017, and this was said by the European Commission in Strasbourg 5 days ago, in front of 550 security experts and law enforcement and special agents like me and other people, he said 35 billion euro. I roughly know how to write it down, but he said it, so I believe him. But again, I think this is the tip of the iceberg, because whenever they spell out these figures, they don't consider all the money that a company like yours spend into running the forensics and fixing the incidents and the reputation and so on and so on. So the consequence of a cyber attack are much more than this. Unadvised, because it's easy to give these figures, but it's much harder to get something like this. This is from a report I love from the Falsa Group ID in Russia. And they were able, they are one of the few in the world that have been able to write down an output. Is free to download. I'm not selling anything at all, which encompass and analyze all the incomes of the cybercrime split by areas of the world and by type of crime. So I cannot even see from here. I have to go. DDoS attacks, they are like 130 million of income for the cybercrime, or other attacks, or a command and control, online fraud, spam. Did you ever ask yourself when you get a spam in your inbox, why the hell those guys are doing this? Because it's money. Your email, it has got a value as your car, plastic, and so on and so on. The cybercrime is not hackers, it's different. This is because most of the cybercrime is not run anymore by a lonely guy or a bunch of friends in the room, and maybe they are staying in house, they live with the parents, and they do it homemade now. That's the whole story. It's organized crime now, and they can do whatever they want. They are really well organized. They are able to profile you as a target, to get on all the public things and understand about your employees, and then from there they will start and click the email, a targeted email, a target scam, and so on and so on. What I want to say with this slide, and again I have to run, is that they are very sophisticated. They are really able to coordinate attacks. An advice I give you, because it happened to us already 4 or 5 times. Client calls which they are under a DDoS attack. Now, from our experience, the reasons why someone can DDoS on you are 2. A competitor pays someone in order to DDoS you, and you cannot anymore run your business. That's the regular thing, the standard, even a kiddo can understand this. But what a lot of clients they miss is that when you get a DDoS attack, your crew, your staff, your IT guys, your ISP are in panic, and they don't see anymore the other thing. Subdol attack is going on the low noise, a huge noise, and then under radar, someone else is going maybe to your SQL or whatever. So whenever you are attacked, don't do the mistake to think only that it's because they want to have you down, but maybe that's just diversification in order to do other bad things against your company. This is important as well. I'm in ITU, International Telecommunication Union from the United Nations. We are those guys which are fighting with ICANN, but I belong also to ICANN. I got friends at ICANN, for the governance of internet. And why I choose to pick up this slide to show you, because I met another guy at this conference that he told me that they are trying to blockchain the DNS and let's say everything that's related to the internet governance. And I think that is so cool. I think that if they will succeed, I hope they will, because I'm a technical, I'm a geek at the end of the story. There will be a third player. There will be ITU, ICANN, and something in the middle which will want to decentralize the governance of internet. This is such a hot topic. It's important for our lives as users, citizens, and so on. And do you know from where is coming this analysis? From one of my team, from Flavia, back in 2013. She analyzed all the votes at ITU at the General Assembly back in Dubai in December 2012, and she told me something. She told me, hey boss, I'm the boss of the company. This is weird, because if we open the geopolitical studies that we find all around the world, there is side A and side B, and it's very clear who likes who hates who. If you look at this, there are some emerging countries. It's something that is unstable, and it's not the vision that we were used to observe all around the world. All of this to come to this point, what is happening right now? What is happening right now is over there, is that shit, is that mess. That means that everyone is against everybody. There are states and governments, again, Kim and North Korea, but other countries that they try to steal your money and self-fund themselves. There are, IC stands for intelligence communities, intelligence agency and law enforcement agencies, but they are not a part of the bad guys. It depends. But in bold, they put the bad guys, which is organized crime, industrial spies, terrorists, and cyber mercenaries. Those are your enemies. At least it's them. Your scenario. So now we switch the scenario and we go to your scenario. I just explained my scenario, my fights of everyday fightings. And sorry to say, but again, I'm neutral, I'm independent, I don't sell any hardware, any software stuff. I just am here to provide you with my knowledge and experience. So I cannot tell lies to you. You players, those who runs exchange companies and so on, you sell or you buy from players of your market, web platforms, apps, and wallets, which very typically are totally unsecure. Then again, there are a few exceptions, but it's sure, and again the evidence is here, it's empty in this room, or kind of empty, that the InfoSec aspect is not at the top of the priorities of those companies. And that's a mistake. The ecosystem of the players of your market, most of the times, and aside from very rare exceptions, they don't have the vision and enough understanding of the new challenges that are caused from cybersecurity or linked to cybersecurity, because whenever there is a security incident, you will always have a side impact of that. So, over the last 3 to 5 years, we've observed all of this and the signals, the evidences, the posts, and whatever that were coming from ethical hacking. So me and friends like me, because thanks God we are a lot around the world and we are on the good side. The underground and the cybercrime. And what is sure, no doubts at all, is that you are a target and you are under high risk. Why? Easy to explain. Where there is big money, the bad guys will try to get the money. Easy to, it's an easy answer. And as I saw them studying before this acre before of me, thank you so much, because this ballot, the last one, I don't have to show you any articles, any pictures at all. Everything is public. And we read every day that an exchange or something, a target has been hacked and their money has been stolen. And the cryptos. What about the offering? I mean, I told you, you have a problem, so you may say, well, I need to find a solution. Whenever you will try, most of the times, again, to try to find a solution, whenever you will go to the cybersecurity shops, the usual ones, their knowledge of the actual and modern and next ICT frauds is low. I'm trying to be polite here, but the real thing is equal to zero. They don't know anything about this. They don't have a good understanding. This is true. They have a poor understanding of your ecosystem from a standpoint of the procedures. They have a zero knowledge of the new things, of those findings that we find and that people find in wallets and protocols and so on. You may decide to go to the traditional ones, and again, they don't know that much about the security issues of our age. They rely much more on physical security, and they will try to involve into the team some cyber lawyer just in order to waste out your budget. Don't do that mistake. I think we have enough of lawyers all around the world. What we need is technical people that knows they are speaking about. You may decide to go to the Big Four. I don't have to mention them or waste again to be sure. They outsource their job to us, to you, to me, and other ones. So why should you pay 3 times more or 10 times more in order to have something that is the same thing? Or better to say, they are even able to ruin a report at the end because they want it to be fancy and sexy. You may decide to build in-house resources. I think it's the right thing to do, that the knowledge is in the company on the client side, but it could be a mistake and it could be a reverse sting onto you, because it's dangerous when you're, I don't know, you're a fraud guy, he overlooks or undervaluates a fraud, and the IT guy, he hasn't time to search all the logs and so on and so on. So it may happen that good security and bad security, they will actually look the same thing to them, and that should be a big mistake. And we have something that I call ego problems, like IT department, they hate the security department, and the marketing department, they don't want to talk to a bunch of nerds and so on and so on. It's real life. What you see may eventually not be what you get. So how many of you, among you, has got a provider for CTI, Cyber Threat Intelligence? Well, so it's good actually that I explained you. Hacking the attack tab is not something that, it's not like in War Games, the movie. I started to deal with security and hacking back in 1986. I was 13 years old. Why I started? Why I began? Because when I was 10 years old, my mommy, she brought me at the cinema, and I watched something that was the War Games, a movie, the best ever on hacking and that kind of stuff. But there was a movie. It's not like in the movie that you have a big screen, a control room, and you can be alerted in real time of everything that is happening for real at your company. No way, that's Hollywood. What you could do, no, that's after that. Yeah, I decided to put this slide about the mindset and backgrounds, because there will be always a black swan that arrives in one way or another, and especially depending on the country and the mood and the culture. These are the, how can I say, the issues that we have and we encountered when we were engaged for a contest. So if I talk on the client side, to the client side with someone who is able to understand a pentest that works, but most of the times you will speak or we will speak, and on your side at your company there will be someone to talk with us, which is an unexperienced security guy or a very experienced and a skilled one, but about IT, that's not security, it's different. Or you will be forced to send us your auditors, and we were forced to speak with an auditor, and we will not understand each other, and so on and so on and so on. It happens often at the banks. I know that it's not your case, that we found ourselves to talk with a former law enforcement officer, and he was used to handcuffs and to use guns, and we are trying to explain to them that the guns of today is with other tools. It's not a gun anymore. It's not a ride on the car anymore after the bad guy. But in any case, most of them will not understand us. Most of you will not. So it's the same thing. Whenever you go to shopping for security, a few advices for them, for you. Ask yourself if you really need a security test. I think that the answer is yes, but again, it depends on you. If you really run a test, let's say every week, I don't think there is the need for another one, because you will not have enough time to recovery and remediate from all the findings and the holes. You should ask yourself how often. You should ask yourself who should run the pen test or the SEC test, and so on and so on. What the client, they often say is that I need to spend as less as it could be. Again, this is a mistake. My girl, she's a classy Italian woman, and she explained to me why she spends so much in shoes. She told me, if I buy a shoes from China, it's €5, but it's destroyed after 2 days, and my feet hurt. If I buy a Valentino shoes, it's 1,000, but I have it for years. It's the same thing in the security. The more you pay, and the better thing it will be for all your cycle at the company. I have to rush. I know you, Daniele, but I still have some stuff. But I'll begin to run. Again, you will find all the slides somewhere. Another mistake is that
I got the piece. So area.
Yes, I promise. You don't really know the difference between a vulnerability scanning, a VA, a pen test, blah blah. So go to download the OSDEM, OSSDMM. It's free for download from Isacom. I will show you over the next slides. And here you will find something. So it's not an easy task, it's complicated. The security is complex, and the testing of security is even more complex. So I start to rush. These are the basic issues that we encountered when we pen tested some clients from you or sent to us by other friends. That is, they haven't yet, most of the times it's about a startup. And the startup, they still don't have all the legal entities that a company should have in order to be able to sign for us all the lawful things that we need in order to run a pen test. So it's a basic thing, it's very stupid, but it happens. Another one is that they are not able to pay the companies like us because they pretend to pay us in cryptos or with cash, which is weird. Why I'm telling you this example? Because there are very few pen testing companies in the world that are already self-organized in order to accept the payment in crypto. The most of them, and we are, the most of them they are used to the old way and to fiat things. Technical issues here, I mistaken something before the next slide. How many of you have ever hired a red team, a pen test team, in order to do some job? No. Ooh. So I didn't ask for the other two questions. I skipped them. Oh, thank you, sir. I'm proud of you. Thank you. And so I have to ask you. No, well, it's not you because you are red. Did the red team which you engaged has explained to you and declared to you which methodology they were using? Okay. Good. Why I'm asking this? Because most of the times, a client, he gets, when you will engage another team, it will happen. You will lose time, and that I will so easy to compare the results of the two reports if it's not a standardized approach. And I found some competitors that they told to clients, we cannot explain you and we cannot disclose with you which methodology and standard we use because it's our internal know-how. I believe in open source. I believe that the more we share the knowledge, and the best thing is. So OSSTMM is a free standard from all over the world. How much time we have before they shot me?
It's over.
But that is the coffee break, or is finished also?
No, it's over.
Okay, so it's over. They should decide, it's not me.
Yeah, the schedule. Yeah, I know. But the people can raise and stand up.
No, if she says, I believe to that girl, if she says stop, I will stop. So I go to the end just to show you how many things I would have had. This is all the findings from a pen test on an exchange that you should be interested in learning. But the most important, no, I cannot. If she says no, it's a no. But the most important thing that you must know is what you should do. It's what you should do, and it's the thank you. Thank you to Natalie. She's coming here. A big clap to her. She's not only so beautiful, but she was able to manage a crazy speaker like me, and all the others, and those who will buy me drinks, and I will give you my slides.
Yes, guys, all presentations will be downloaded to our website, to Facebook pages, to everything. So don't worry, if you have any questions to Raoul, please come and ask him as much questions as you have. But we have only one panel and we need to finish this. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Raoul. I was expecting you with a pure fake mask and hook, but okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
If there are questions, or I can
some questions
from the public. Wow, Ralph, the guy he asked before of you, the bird guy. No, where are you going?
This one. I'm bringing.
Well, whoever. 4 minutes and 50 seconds. 45.
So yeah, basically, I just wanted to ask, in terms of exchanges, have you done analysis on the different exchanges, and which one do you think would be the most, let's say, secure one? And that's the first one. And the second one, have you done an analysis also in terms of what's really happening behind the exchanges, like all the transactions that are happening there, and what's your view in terms of the value of, let's say, Bitcoin or any other kind of cryptocurrency because of the things that you learned? I would really appreciate if you could answer this question, Raoul.
I would, but it will not be enough the 4 minutes and a half that we have, and there are, I think, other 3 more, but I would like to probably answer you, especially the first one, because I'm a very well-known guy all around the world. I don't want to endorse any company, any whatever, but I have the answer to question number 1, but I don't want to say it in public. But I can give you a partial answer, which is all the last part of my presentation where when I put the screenshots from a report, of course, obfuscated, but that's real stuff. And those were exchanges. Actually, we tested like 5 to 6 exchanges around the world, especially Asia Pacific. I'll give you a hint. And most of the findings and the vulnerabilities that we found were, again, brought in by the vendors. Stupid things like they were not able to properly configure the active directory or not patching SSH, or mistakes when managing SSL certificates, and so on and so on and so on. One of the most basic one that we found, since a big 4 company went there to audit, the employees, they were forbidden, I mean, very strict rules to go on the internet. So a couple of guys from the marketing, because they had to do other things, they installed a hotspot over there and plugged it into the switch. But the switch was hardened, so they say, well, the fuck, we cannot do anything, and they bought a hub, a hub, any VLANs, anything at all, and plug it straight into the network. So our Pentesting was also on site, and we were able actually to hack all the company, all the target, because of those bunch of idiots. This happens, I mean, don't forget that most of the mistakes are brought in, most of the vulnerabilities are brought in by the human beings and the behavior of the employees. So that's why I stress this so out: educate and train and run the security awareness at your company. Question number 2 was? I forgot it.
If you promise to answer in 30 seconds, we have one more question. First slide.
Question number 2 was like, after all the findings that you've done, do you think that the price of the cryptocurrencies are...
I remember that one.
Okay.
30 seconds.
Yeah. Well, often also because I cannot discuss too much, but you understood that I work a lot with law enforcement all around the world. We are a trainer at the Interpol, trainer at the NATO, which is 2 different environments, but it gives you the idea. We investigated frauds about stolen things and scams, and there is actually one current, well, it's not only, I have 2 part of answers, but I will tell you have to rush out. 2 answers. Yes, there are some currencies that are used more for dirty things, let's say, but there are other kinds of currencies which are still used for dirty things, but in my opinion even worse, which is to pay for human trafficking and the cartels of the drug in South America.
Okay,
and I think
thank you. Thank you very much.
Who is this?
We are over, and thank you very much for your brilliant.